or welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah and this is going to be my first check-in for my December Reads Part 2. I've finished a few things, not a ton, so there's not much to read. I do have a used book haul though, so I thought I'd go ahead and get this check-in done. For the things that I have read, I have finished the second Calamitous Bob book, which is in Khazar. This was very good. I don't think this was as good as the first book for me. It was still very good. So I gave the first book like a 4.5. I gave this one a 4. This one again, I say these are older lit RPGs. So, you know, progression, stat blocks, but there is some language used and a few places where the like writing and the pacing was a bit clunky, but there's some language used that's dated as well. And so the first like half to quarter of this I wasn't super into the way I was in the first book, but the latter half of this was very good. And the best part about this is that it I mean, I mentioned it when I talked about the first book. Sulfus, the golem that is training Bob, has said a few times that he wants to turn her into this like tyrannical overlord. And the events of the second book, the end of it, you know, maybe she's gonna be that tyrannical overlord. So if you missed the recap of what Calamitous Bob is, this is the story of Vivienne, who is isekai'd, if you will, or sent to another world by a god who basically switches places with her. And he provides her a body with some magical abilities, some extra boons, but the problem is that he drops her in the middle of a desolated empire, in the throne room of that empire, and she awakes completely naked, absolutely no hair, in a throne room in a land that is saturated with black mana, which is basically death mana, and she has to learn to survive and find her way to the rest of the mankind, the races on this world, and go from there. Again, I enjoyed it. I don't think I liked the way some of the sub-races were talked about in this. Then again, we're not given a whole lot of context for why they're talked about the way they are, so we'll see going forward where that goes. If it comes back up, we'll see. But I really enjoyed it, and I do, again, intend to continue with the series. So the next one looks really dark. I'm not gonna lie, the cover alone makes me go eep. Like, is Bob going to murder a bunch of people? She might murder a bunch of people. We'll see. I also finished All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I didn't like it. So I've heard mixed things on this one, and I was going to pick it up, and then it came up on NetGalley, and I was like, you know, if I'm gonna read it, I might as well read it and review it. And you know what? I don't know that Miss Zapata and I are gonna get on as far as writing style. As far as I'm aware, she writes single point of view romances, which are, I'm now learning, or I have been learning, are just usually a hard miss for me. And that was part of the problem with this one. And also, this character is, and I don't say this lightly, too stupid to live. 2 points to make, and then I'm not going to rant on it, but she opens the book with the statement that she is moving to the state, quote, no one has heard of. It's Colorado. Even non-Americans, I'm pretty sure, have heard of Colorado. That state has a lot of tourism. Isn't it like one of the, my husband said it's like one of the second most, like, the second state for like startups and tech capital, and like everyone's heard of Colorado. And point 2, she is afraid of a bat, which I'm not even going to go into my thing about bats. I love bats. I think the fact that women stereotypically are afraid of bats is absolute garbage. She's afraid of bats, but she'll pick up a golden eagle. Y'all need to Google a golden eagle. They're huge. They have talons bigger than my hand, and they have huge predator, like, their beak, it's sharp as a razor. You cannot look at a gold eagle and, like, think, I'll just pick that little bird up, it looks like it's hurt. Also, the fact that the bird did nothing when she picked it up, no. I didn't like this. So my normal complaint, besides the two big main points, is with single point of view romances. I have the same complaint, is that the love interest always feels flat. They are just a cardboard cutout of a character, and most of the characters were that way, besides the main character who was just dumb. The fact that she thought no one would recognize her after living a famous life prior to Colorado where no one has heard of it, it was a miss for me. So, not for me. Besides that, I don't think I have read anything else. I did read one more of the Advent of Winter short stories. I do not remember the name of it, but I will smack the cover up here. I really liked this one. This was the story of a man and his family. He has not struck a bargain, but he found out his soul was damned. So he swore that for the 15 years he spent slaughtering people, he was going to spend 15 years in peace. And he is almost done with his 15 years of peace when the Titan, the being that he was sworn into service of, finds him again and things happen. I enjoyed this one specifically because of the dynamic he had with his wife. She was also a fighter, but a mage, and it really gave me vibes of like a warrior and a mage in like a video game who are working well together. So she's casting magic and he's fighting with his weaponry. I really liked that. As someone who plays video games with friends, specifically my husband a lot, we usually have that dynamic going on in a game, so it was really fun to see it in a book. I also really liked the magic the pantheon, the way the world was set up with these titans who were based or were gods and deities from gods and deities from pantheons in our real world. So we had like Ra and Horus mentioned. I believe there was a couple more mentioned that I cannot remember the names of. Anyway, it was very good. I really enjoyed it. Oh, I read 2 short stories in the Advent of Winter. I almost said 1. Yes, 2. Sorry. So this one I liked. I was very sad for both of these because I think this one and then one I want to talk about next, both of them are maybe standalones. The authors haven't written more worlds for these short stories. I need to do more research, but I don't think so. And like, womp womp, I want more. The other one also really liked was about a young man who was sneaking back into the city that banished him, and he was stealing back this little dragonling that his brother worked with or was raising, and he was trying to sneak back out, and there is a blight going across the land which is bringing in like shadow monsters and stuff, and there is a very cool fight scene, and the magic is kind of based almost like alchemy wise, and he's able to use special bullets to kill these blight creatures. Also really wish there was a series based on this one or another book maybe coming in the future, but also really, really love that. So that's the stuff I have read. Now, as to the book haul, I took a big old sack of books to my local used bookstore and got trade credit and was able to get a bunch of books. There is one on here that was a pre-order. This was Rooster Fighter Volume 5. And this is the newest in that manga series. If you want thoughts on this, check out some of my manga monthlies because I have been reading it since it came out. As to the books, let's see, I have three on top of the stack are also ones that my husband bought me. So I have Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I just really love this cover. I'm not gonna lie. With the way I've been striking out on fantasy romance, I probably should have passed, but you know what? I tried the sample. I liked the sample. And I really love the color, so he bought me that. And for our anniversary, he bought me Combat Codes and Griever's Blood, which this was okay. I liked it okay, but I absolutely loved Griever's Blood. These are books I read as e-arcs, and so I wasn't going to collect the series, but after this one, I really wanted to. This is a fantasy series where the central plot device is the main characters are part of a race that fights for a living, for their reason for life is to fight and solve wars and problems, trade agreements, all that stuff, and the central fighting style that the author uses as inspiration is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is something my husband has been doing for over 10 years now. So I was really interested in it when it was announced, and I am so far really enjoying it. Now, the used books that I mentioned. Woo! Boo. I ended up spending like 20 of my own dollars on this, plus whatever the trade credit was. So I came out pretty good, considering I think only one of these would have cost me 20 bucks at the store. So I did pretty good. So at the top of the list, I have The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mueller. This one I have had my eye on for a while. If I recall correctly, this is a fantasy about a woman who owns a high-end brothel or establishment, and the other women that work in the establishment with her. I know a little bit of a spoiler on the setup and dynamic of the place, and it really piqued my interest, so I'm very excited. This looks almost brand new, and it's paperback. I much prefer paperbacks to hardbacks because they're much easier for me to hold. I'm very excited about that. I have Meru by S.B. Divya. This is about a woman who is raised by alloys who are post-human descendants. Most of humanity is restricted to the planet Earth, and the others, like the alloys, are out like exploring. But they find a new planet they think humanity can live on, so our main character, Gianthe, and another alloy are sent to that planet to explore and determine if humanity can live on it. I think I got that right. I'm not sure. I've had this on my radar. Something happened at the beginning of the year or late last year. This author was nominated for an award of some sort and ended up turning it down for some reason, and I don't recall why. If I can find an article explaining, I will link it below, but I've had it on my radar since then because it sounded interesting. I hope that was somewhat coherent. I also got The Embroidered Book by Kate Hartfeld. I heard about this on Becca from Becca and Her Books. I'll link it below. I can't ever remember her channel name. She read the Goldsboro edition of this and really enjoyed it, and it sounded very fun. It is an alternate history in which Princess Charlotte and Marie Antoinette find a book of magic. It still follows actual historical events and what happens, but it's what they would do with that magic, maybe what they would have done, and I think it's told in letters and diary entries back and forth between them. I think it's like a epistolary novel. Don't take my word on that. If it's not, I'm still interested, but if it is, I love epistolary novels. And two books I never thought I would see there are The Last Son and The Hanged Man by Katie Edwards. I have heard about this series all of one place, besides Kindle, which continually pitches it to me, and the covers are beautiful, so I am always looking at them. So there's The Last Son and The Hanged Man. This is the Tarot Sequence, books 1 and 2. Could not tell you anything about this. I think it is a fallen prince and his bodyguard and their romance. She no longer makes videos, but there is another person I watch on BookTube when she does make videos. She loved this series. I can't remember her name. I'll see if I can find her and link her below. She really enjoyed these. She put them on my radar first, and that was like a year or two ago. And like I said, it's been popping up every now and again because these are evidently popular on the Kindle. The Kindle? In the Kindle store. So I never thought I'd see them in person, but they were at the used bookstore, so I grabbed them. And finally, I got This Woven Kingdom by Tahera Mafi. I liked the Shatter Me series back in the day when it first came out, and it was super popular, and I was into YA. I enjoyed it. It's not for me now, so I thought I would give this a shot, and I was just waiting for a used copy to show up, and it did. It was like $5, and it looks freaking brand new. And oh, I love the spine. There you go. It's beautiful. So we'll give it a shot. I don't remember much about it. I've seen Olivia at Olivia Reads a Latte read it. She really liked it. I've seen other people on my Goodreads really enjoy it. So we'll see. I think it's a gin romance. That's it. That's all I can think. That's all I think I remember about it. And the main character sews garments for the upper class, and that's how she makes a living. She makes magical garments and outfits. That's all I know. Don't really know a lot about these things. I do the thing where I will hear about something, and if it ticks a couple of boxes for me, I will put it on a list. I'll put it on a TBR somewhere, and then every now and again I go back down through that TBR and I reread descriptions, and if I'm still interested in it, I leave it on the list. I only remember covers and titles. I don't remember the descriptions. So that's why anytime I do a book haul, it's like that. I don't remember the content. I just know past Sarah was interested in this, and they know what I like to read. Sometimes, with mixed success. My plans moving forward, so I can end this clip. My next owned book that I'm going to read is The Martyr. I'm going to finish this, and that way I can catch up to my husband, who is almost done with it. I think he is like in the last like 10%. So I'm going to catch up to him and finish The Martyr in the next few days. Anthony Ryan is incredibly readable for me, so I will finish that quickly, I hope. And I plan on reading the 5th volume of Power Rangers today or tonight. I think when we looked, he has read up to volume 6 maybe, so this will get me almost caught up with him. So I'm going to read this in the next day or two. Besides that, I am reading Heart Song by TJ Klune, which is already it's going to hurt me. I'm 25% of the way through. I think I know what's happening, and I am already upset. And Robin said that she cried 4 times while reading that book, so I anticipate I will probably cry at least twice, if not more. So there's that. And I think I'm going to try and read the next 2 in the Kimberly Lemming Mead Mishaps series, which I have not read before, I don't think, but I had the e-arcs, so I'm going to read those. Those will be quick, fun reads between the sob fest that I'm afraid Heart Song is going to be. So I'll update you on all that later. My next update, I also want to show you my very cool sweatshirt. My stand-up It's an Amy's Crypt shirt. Isn't that awesome? I love it. My husband got it for me for our anniversary as well. I love Amy's Crypt. I love ghost hunting, YouTube. I don't know what to say. I am not a skeptic. That's so cool. It's so fun. If you don't watch Amy's Crypt and you like ghost hunting shows, or you grew up like me watching those old paranormal shows, this is the YouTube channel to follow. I also like Paranormal Quest. Anyway, I love my new sweatshirt. I'm very excited about my new books, and I will go upstairs and take a bunch of Instagram pictures and read some for the rest of the day. And I'll update you guys again soon. I just filmed my best of 2023, so I thought I'd go ahead and get this update clip out of the way. And of course, now that I say that, I realize I left the book upstairs. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I have finished 2 novels and a novella. Oh, gotta get comfy again. So the first thing I finished was That Time I Got Drunk and Needed a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemming. Yeah, I liked this. I don't think I liked it as much as I liked the first book, and I know why. So this is Stuck in a Boo Hale. So this is a story of Cinnamon from the first book, her best friend Bree. Bree is being accosted. She's being harassed by a man at a party to celebrate Cinnamon and the chosen one from the village, their return. And he gives her this drink that's spiked with a love potion. So she throws it at him, he ducks, and it hits Felix, the werewolf from the first book, who was helping Cinnamon. He falls in love per the love potion, but also he imprints on her because he's a werewolf. They do that fated mates thing. And this stays in Boo Hale. The thing I really liked about That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon is that we really got a lot of this really cool world that Kimberly built. Even though it was little bits and pieces here and there, we got a lot of world. We got to see a lot of like characters and types of people, and I really found that funny. It was more fantasy than romance, I felt. Whereas this stayed in Boo Hale, we got a lot less of that. But also a lot more sex in this one. I feel like there may not have been. I was probably aware of it because we weren't getting much else. And a really weird tentacle scene. So Bree doesn't believe that Felix actually loves her. She doesn't know anything about imprinting. So she's doing all these like curse removal spells to try and get the love potion off of him, and she coincidentally just gives him tentacles for just long enough to have weird tentacle sex together. I don't know. That was strange to me. The more I think about that, the more I'm like, I don't think I liked it. But it wasn't bad. I think I gave it a 3-star. If you liked the first one, you'll probably enjoy this one. This has Alexis in it from... What's the name of the novella? I can't remember. Mistletoe. I think it's Mistletoe. I think. I'll put the image up here. The Talking Sword. She's very funny. She's very sassy. She's very crass. So if you like talking swords, it could be fun. So again, like that. It comes out in February, the traditionally published version with a really nice cover. If you're interested in it, pick it up. And the other novel that I read was Starter Villain by John Scalzi. I did finish this yesterday. I was supposed to take this back to the library, whoopsie, on Monday, but I decided to just eat the late fee, and I will take it in next Monday. I think I talked about this in the last update. I'm a little out of breath because I've been talking for like 40 minutes straight. This is Charlie's story. Charlie's uncle dies. Now, Charlie is kind of alone. His parents are both dead. His half-siblings are older than him and don't really like him. To be fair, he doesn't seem to like them. And he lost his job as an investigative reporter after the pandemic because reasons, just economy reasons. And he is living in his dad's old house doing a substitute teacher gig that he really doesn't care for when he is approached and asked to handle some things for his uncle's estate, and then his house gets blown up. And it's because he did those things. And so he ends up taking over his uncle's business. And it kind of goes from there. There are typing cats and talking dolphins and another talking animal that I'm not going to spoil because that was delightful. This is really fun. If you want something short, like a movie almost, that's very readable, this is going to be a recommendation. However, I will say, and I agree with these criticisms, a lot of people have said before that Scalzi is very quippy. His characters are very clever. They're very quippy back and forth. They say very funny lines constantly, nonstop, in a way that a real person wouldn't. Keep that in mind if you don't like that sort of writing, if you don't like that sort of character, this is full of it. But besides that, it's very good. The cats are fantastic. Probably the best characters after the dolphins are a close second. I just wish we'd got more dolphins. They were so good. But I like this. I think I gave it 3.5 a 4-star. It's worth the late fee. I don't know if it's worth buying, but it's worth the late fee. And the last thing I read was kind of a disappointment, and that is the Soul Shard by Tiago Abdallah. I think I said that name close to correct. I am so sorry. Oh my god. I can say it right in my head. I can hear it in my head, but my mouth doesn't cooperate. This is the problem I have with like languages and stuff. Anyway, I was extremely excited about this one because I have one of his books on my bookshelf, and I've heard nothing but good things. But this one was a little bit of a letdown, and I think it was possibly just the format and my head at the time. I have hormonal migraines, and I was in a bout with a migraine at the time I was trying to read this, and it kind of made it hard for me to focus. So I kind of missed probably some of what I should have picked up, and I just didn't enjoy it. And this is the story of a young woman who effectively is trying to go to school to be a demon hunter. She wants to go to the lore side of school where she learns and supports an actual combatant, an actual hunter. And in training, in this final bout, something happens and the girl that she's paired with gets killed, and she changes her path and becomes an actual hunter, but she believes that people are out to punish her for that other girl's death. And she ends up banding with her father, and they go to basically take revenge, get retribution against the creature that killed the girl. My other problem with this, besides the fact that I was in a migraine state, was that I think perhaps the manner in which he tried to cram in a bunch of point of views in different points of time so rapidly just didn't work for me. So we got a big scene when they're children, another scene when she's like a teen, and then another scene when she's an adult, and it's like, I don't know, the rapid jump prevented me from really attaching to the character in a meaningful way. If I had had perhaps maybe one timeline point with like think backs or recalls or brief flashbacks, it might have worked a little better. As it was just too much packed into such a short format. It didn't work. So that was like a 3. I am definitely still excited to read his full-length novel. I just think this one just didn't quite seal the deal as far as like execution for me. That's alright. So for the rest of the day, my husband is taking our daughter on a daddy-daughter date day because I have to work still, but he is off. So they're off jumping at the trampoline park. I am probably going to read the next Power Rangers graphic novel while I eat lunch. And then I am working on Emily Wilde still. I know I've said this before. And I am going to pick up the Pariah since I finished the starter villain. I also have another book out that I'm eating the late fee on, September House. I'm really excited about it. It's a haunted house story, and I just don't want to buy it. And I love haunted house stories, and this one I'm hoping will be good. I'm gonna give it a shot as well today. We'll see if I like it. If not, I'll take it back. I'll take it back on Monday, or I guess Sunday or Tuesday, because Monday's Christmas, isn't it? Dang, Monday's Christmas. Shit. Anyway, that's it for this update. I'm going to go download and edit some things and then get the reading done, like I said, while I eat lunch. And I'll talk to you guys again in a little while. I think I'm going to redo these shelves, so maybe the next clip you'll see they'll be different. My Star Wars books are all here. I think I'm going to put them in a small shelf I have over there, and then put some of my, like, maybe some of my fantasy and stuff right here, my indies, because I like filming right here. It's pretty nice. And I think a backdrop with some, like, actual stuff I talk about more than Star Wars would be good. We'll see. I do read a lot of Star Wars, I just haven't read any recently, so I don't know. I might take some of them off. I might leave, like, these. I like these. We'll see. We'll see what I do. Who knows? Okay, it's 2024. I haven't updated for the last, like, half of this month because it's the holidays. I was taking my time off, so I have quite a few books to talk about with you guys for the last of my December reads. I am speaking quietly because my daughter is asleep right above me. Fingers crossed I don't wake her up. First things first, I want to do a little quick book haul. I got a few things for Christmas, and I ordered one thing. I ordered one thing for myself. So I did get In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. I have read this, and I loved this. This was one of my top books of the year. It's one of my top romances. It's so good. If you like second chance, small town romance, and you really like a romance with a fun kid character, I highly recommend this. I absolutely loved this. It was fantastic. I'm not going to go on about it too much. I talk about it a little more in my best books of the year video, but it's a great one. I also picked up a copy, or rather my mom got me a copy of 3 Grams of Elsewhere by Andy Gisler. This is an indie sci-fi about empathy and how in this future world it has been sort of weaponized and turned into a tool. We have figured out ways to develop and then use empathy in the military, in society, sensing people's truths and lies, their emotions, that sort of thing. It's fantastic. Absolutely, again, loved this. One of the best books of the year, so I wanted my own physical copy, so it will go on my newly decorated shelves back here. I also got, for Christmas, a copy of The Spell. This is by Justin Doak. I went to school with Justin Doak in high school and college. He was in a lot of the graphic design and art classes that I took. And he has another children's book out called The Wendigo, I think. And this is just a little book about a witch. I have yet to read this. I'm very excited to read it, though. I love his artwork and his mind and the way he writes things. So if you like little fun picture books, this might be one to pick up. I'll have more thoughts on it once I've read it. I think he indie publishes those, so you should be able to find it online. I have the special edition of the King's Spinster Bride. I read this maybe last year or the year before. I'm not sure. This is the special edition with the absolutely beautiful cover and back. I will probably reread this. It's very short and annotate it. The Half-Orc's Maiden Bride, I think, is the other one she has in these really pretty editions. So I want to get that as well and put that on my romance shelf. We got a shelf trophy of Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. My husband and I, Buddy, read this year? Last year? Maybe last year. Fantastic. If you like fantasy told through a unique voice, it has a lot of humor and wit, but it's also very, very unafraid to go there. This is so good. It was so underhyped when it came out. I think I only saw it a few places and absolutely loved it. This is the second or third book by this author that I have read, and we will be continuing to read his books. We're very excited. The sequel to this comes out on my birthday this year, so happy birthday to me. Mom also got me If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, which I haven't read. This is just collections of the fragments of Sappho's poems, and by fragments, it's like the actual fragments with the Greek, I think, and what the English would be on the other side. There's not much to it, but I thought it looked interesting. She also got me the Natural History Museum's Dinosaurs and How They Lived by Darren Nash and Paul M. Barrett. I love dinosaurs. Unashamedly love dinosaurs. So I wanted dinosaur books and I got one. And I also got the photo arc, the photo arc Vanishing the World's Most Valuable Animals. I have up there, you can't see it because it's a shelf up, the just first photo arc. It's just various photos. These are all of them I think are done by Joel Sartor, which is one of my favorite wildlife photographers, if I'm remembering correctly. He does absolutely stunning work. It's phenomenal. I follow him online, and so when photo art came out I was very excited, and a friend got it for me when it came out, and I have wanted this one for a long time. And there is a birds version that I will, ooh, look at that, stunning. There's a birds version that I will try to get soon, because these are so good to look through. And this is gonna break my heart because it's endangered species. But little mini book haul, just various and sundry different things that I got. So as to the books that I read the last half of December, I did read the fifth one? Yes, the 5th volume of Power Rangers. It starts the 2nd arc in this run. Let's see, oh yes, okay. So we get some history on a previous Ranger team and how that plays into the current state of things. Rita Repulsa is gone. And our Rangers are trying to figure out how to keep saving the world, do what they do without that looming threat. But the idea is that, she's not really gone. The looming threat is still there. So we are going to see where this goes from here. The Finster, I think is his name, the little dude who makes the putties. Yes, can never remember the names on these things. He's at large, and he has made these human doppelgangers that turn into monsters randomly, and they have just found this out. So we'll see where volume 6 goes. Now the rest of what I've read this month are novels. I did catch up on all my January arcs and get all of that stuff turned in this morning. I have one left and I got it done, so that will be in my January wrap up. But the rest of these were also either, yes, all of these were arcs. One was a catch-up from October, and the rest of these are coming out either this month or next month. So the one catch-up, the one I didn't like, was After the Forest by Kel Woods. This is a Hansel and Gretel sort of thing. It takes place maybe 10-15 years after Hansel and Gretel return from the witch's cabin, and Greta is living at home taking care of Hans, who is effectively a drunk and a gambler. And we find out over the course of the story she is a witch. She has witch-like powers, and she gets entangled up with this group of shapeshifters and has to try to save both herself and Hans. And I didn't like this one very much. This reminded me a lot of The Gilded Crown and a few other sort of fairy tale-esque retellings or remixings. It didn't work. The Book of Gothel, it also gave me Book of Gothel vibes, but Book of Gothel was, I think, much better done. Gothel had a lot more, she had a lot more personality, a lot more agency. Greta in this, a lot with some of the other books that I read recently, was reactionary. She simply reacted to things that happened around her. She was uninteresting. She had a book that talked to her, made magic gingerbread, and yet she was surprised when shapeshifters showed up and she found out she had witch powers. Boo. You've been making magic gingerbread for years, right? This is how you make a living, and you're surprised you're a witch? Critical thinking much? It didn't work. This meek and quiet main character, I thought I was tired of the loud and stabby main characters, but I think I prefer them at this point. This one read a little bit more lit ficky to me, which is probably why it didn't work well for me. I don't like lit fic very much. So I gave this one a 2. I don't know that I would recommend it unless you really like lit fic and you want a slower paced story. It's just, no. Historical slightly speculative lit fic is what I would call this. Not for me. The other books that I have read will do the, let's go from the top of the list. Heart Song by TJ Klune. I mentioned this in I think a previous update. Adored it. Fantastic. This series continues to hurt me, heal me, and hurt me at turns. This installment is the third one in the Green Creek series. It follows Robbie and Kelly. And there is a considerable time jump between the end of Ravensong and this book. And there's a reason. And I shan't be spoiling it because I don't want to spoil some of the twists in this book. I will just say things pop off. We have been building towards a conflict with the pack in Maine and our Green Creek pack, and that comes to a head here in this book, and things happen, and it has set up the final book, and things look very dim. Things don't look great. Things looked great for a second and then went real downhill real quick. So I'm extremely excited for Brother Song, and I cannot wait to finish this series. If you have not picked up Wolf Song and its following books, if you are interested in these, I cannot recommend them enough. They are urban fantasy, usually with, I think it's plot forward and then romance secondary, but there is always a strong romantic plot. It's usually all male. We do have some side characters that are in, there's a sapphic relationship and a heterosexual relationship as well. A few others in the background. It's just great all around. Fantastic series. Cannot recommend enough. Absolutely love it. I can't spoil it by saying too much, but keep reading the series if you started it. I then finished Calamity by Constance Fay. Another science fiction romance. This one again is plot forward, which is probably why it worked for me. I prefer my books to be plot forward, romance secondary, unless I'm picking up like a romance, like genre fiction. This is first person point of view of a woman named Temperance. She goes by Temper, and she is the captain of a scouting ship. They go out and they scout planets for resources. They look for things for people. They're all, I think not all of them, one of them, two of them, most of the crew is either banished or they have run from something, which means they are not allowed in certain family spaces, territories in space, or one girl is a refugee from a cult, so she avoids them, that sort of thing. They're kind of a ragtag group. They get contracted by one of the top 5 families to look over this planet for a rare resource that's going to like revolutionize the way space travel works. And in the process, they are sent to this planet with one of the sons of this family, and things go from there. I was so pleasantly surprised by this. I went in with low expectations, and it far surpassed all of them. This is extremely funny. It's got a lot of self-deprecating humor, but also some, like, how would you call, almost slapstick moments. There is a moment with a minecart with a giant drill on the front, and our main character has to drive this minecart with a drill through a firefight of like 2 groups fighting each other. She's got another guy in the back seat she's trying to save. She's trying to drive it through this large area to a wall and drill their way out, and blood and gore. And I was laughing out loud very hard. It was hilarious. This was great. This is on my list of books to buy because I really want a copy of this. So good. If you want like a funny plot forward science fiction romance, this is great. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The sequel is called Fiasco. There's no cover yet, and I don't know that there's a release date, but I am getting that one too because, oh my god. I don't know if this is going to be like a couple of the week formula where we get each each crew member in a romance, or if we're just going to follow Temper. But either way, I'm in. The crew is fantastic. I want a book from Micah and what's her name, Itzel. I loved all of the crew, and this was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it, and if you like that sort of thing, I definitely recommend that. And the last e-arc that I have is What Feast at Night by T. Kingfisher. I really liked this. Sadly, though, I will say I didn't like it as much as I like What Moves the Dead, which was the first book in this series. This is the Sworn Soldier series about Alex and their travels and encounters with the paranormal. In the first book, it was like a retelling of the House of Usher. This one is, I don't think, a retelling of anything. It's just another take on a paranormal sort of mystery story. This is the, I guess, sleep paralysis demon. My biggest problem with this is actually not the fault of the books, so I can't give a hard rating on this. I can say that I really liked the story and I really liked the idea. I am going to have to get a physical edition and read the physical edition because the e-arc of this was just not formatted well, to a point where it like broke the immersion and broke the writing, the impact that it has. I am very familiar with T. Kingfisher, Ursula Vernon's writing style. I've read a ton of her books, so I know how she writes and how that's supposed to work, and it just, the formatting messed it up. But I really enjoyed what I read of it, you know, what I could read of it, and the impact that I did get. It was really fun. We got a lot of Alex and their history. We got a lot of this like place that they're from, Galicia, I think it's called. We see one of their home villages, a cabin, cottage that they grew up in, and hints at possibly their family and history. I hope we get more. I don't know if we will. Miss Potter returns. What was his name? Angus is also in this as well, and we meet a few new characters that I really liked. So like I said, I really enjoyed this. I read it all the way through, but it just didn't hit well because the formatting didn't work. So I'm going to get a physical version and reread, and I'll probably have more concrete thoughts then. But if you liked What Moves the Dead, this is a very good follow-up. I really enjoyed it. And the final thing that I read that I had to talk about for this month was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is the Fairy Loot edition. This was a sleeper hit for me. I didn't expect this to be so good. I don't know why. I wanted it to be good, but for some reason my expectations were very low. This is about Emily Wilde and Wendell. Emily is off in, I think it's like a Norwegian village, fictional one, and she is investigating the fae folk that live there. And she's kind of hit a roadblock. She is written like autistic coded. She's not very good with people. She's very good at what she does as far as research and scholarly pursuits, but not very good with people. And she has accidentally offended the village head within days of arriving. She is frustrated by this, and then her what do I want to say? Academic rival, Wendell, shows up. This is Wendell here. And within hours, he has charmed the whole village. And this is the story of Emily and Wendell as they research the fae that live in this area. They're very cold. This whole thing is set in a snowy landscape. You really feel the effects of the weather and the setting. It's very well done. And I love this. It's written in journal entries. So if you like books like that, this is definitely one to try. This is very cozy as well. I would throw this in a cozy fantasy category. Very fun. I actually just finished the second book in the series last night. I'll talk about that in next month's video, January's video, but really, really enjoyed this. I know it's kind of got like mixed reviews. I think possibly that's why my expectations were low, but I had a lot of fun. My favorite thing in this was Shadow. Shadow is her dog. He is a Grimm, which means he is if you know what a Grimm is, Ancient Magnus Bride has one as well. It's a death dog. They guard cemeteries, that sort of thing. You can't even see him very well because he's so dark. But he's a big black dog that can get bigger. He is so sweet and wonderful. And I loved him. He just lazed around all the time. I also love Poe. If you've read this, you know who Poe is. And he does come up in the second book quite a bit. He was probably my favorite character. But this was great. I loved it. It was so fun. Great series. I'm actually going to hold off on pre-ordering the second book so I can get the Fairy Loot edition to match this one. I'm not subscribed to Fairy Loot, but they should be sending me like a thing to buy the second one. I hope. We'll see what happens. But that is it for things I read in December. It's now January. It's 2024. We have started new spreadsheets, new reading goals, book buying bans, that sort of thing. And I will probably talk about that a bit more in my first update for January reads, which will be in a few days. I want to get 1 or 2 more things read before I do film an update for that. But I'm going to go upstairs and work on editing my best books of the year. And I will talk to you guys again in another video soon. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know down below if you've read any of these or if you want to pick them up. I want to hear everybody's thoughts. Again, thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.